To the 5 men killed on board the Titan sub, killed in what US officials say was a catastrophic implosion. The family of the British explorer Hamish Harding said he was a loving husband, a dedicated father and a legend who lived for his next adventure. And relatives of the Surrey businessman Shahzada Dawood and his 19-year-old son Suleiman described their unimaginable loss. Now, the other 2 men on board were the former French Navy diver and renowned explorer Paul-Henri Nargeolet and the CEO of OceanGate, Stockton Rush. The US Navy has said it detected sounds consistent with an implosion shortly after the sub lost contact. Search teams found debris from the sub thousands of meters below the surface of the Atlantic Ocean. It ends, of course, an international 5-day search for the submersible, which had been on an expedition to the wreckage of the Titanic. Our North America correspondent Nomi Iqbal has been following the developments.
After days of searching, officials have discovered the remains of the OceanGate submersible near to the site of the Titanic wreck, bringing this story to a tragic end. The Titan submersible lost contact on Sunday, an hour and 45 minutes after it began its dive into the Atlantic Ocean to explore the remains of the Titanic. For days, an international rescue operation worked around the clock, searching a vast area of the ocean, trying to find this tiny vessel before the crew inside ran out of oxygen. Some felt there was a glimmer of hope on Wednesday when the Canadian Coast Guard detected underwater noises in the search area. But on Thursday, a remote underwater vehicle found debris from the submersible on the ocean floor near to the Titanic wreck. Officials confirmed this awful discovery indicated there was a catastrophic implosion from the pressure of the ocean water above. Experts believe that that may have killed the crew instantly. OceanGate said in a statement the men were true explorers who shared a distinct spirit of adventure and a deep passion for exploring and protecting the world's oceans.
Well, our North America correspondent Jessica Parker has been in Boston, about 900 miles from that site, and we're speaking to her a little bit earlier on.
I'm here in Boston, as you say, and this is where the Coast Guard HQ is based, and I've seen over the last 5 days more and more people from the media arriving as this 5 days of searching. Obviously, it has now come to a tragic end. The news that we heard from the Coast Guard earlier today here in Boston, that they had found a debris not far from the Titanic shipwreck. Also, that interesting news, though, as well, that it emerged actually after the press conference with the Coast Guard, so we couldn't ask them about this, but that there had been some sounds consistent with the sound of implosion detected by the Navy on Sunday, shortly after the vessel had lost contact with its mothership, and that had been passed on as information to the Coast Guard. That's the first time that we had heard about this, but it didn't seem to deter the operation here from not just really trying to carry out a search and rescue, but pulling in resources from all over the world.
Yes. What more do we know about this? We understand it's a series of secret sensors under the ocean that detected these sounds?
So typically these sorts of sensors can be in the ocean to look out, for example, for activity in the seas around a country's waters as a security measure. We don't know, though, a great deal of detail. This has come out via an unnamed Navy official. What we're told is that it wasn't certain what the sound was, and as I mentioned, that they passed the information on to the Coast Guard. Now, of course, though, this search and rescue attempt and operation, there was just a lot of hope there. There was hope from families, hope from friends of the men on board, and actually officials here talked about how they didn't want to give up in this attempt to find the vessel either. And then you'll remember in the last few days there were these reports separately of banging noises potentially, and there was speculation that maybe the vessel was in fact intact, and were the men trying to alert the authorities as to their location. Of course, sadly, in the end, it turned out that the vessel was no longer intact. It seems fairly certain that the implosion did at least occur before the sensors that were put in the water by the search and rescue operation, because what the Coast Guard have said is over the last 72 hours or so they hadn't heard anything consistent with the sound of an implosion. So it does seem it did happen some time ago, possibly around the time that the Titan submersible lost contact, but we don't know for sure exactly what has happened and why, and now one imagines there will be work to try and find that out.